Which word of the day? Today's word is fulminous, interjection. In the TV show, The Dragon Prince, fulminous is a spell which allows a mage to generate powerful electricity and unleash devastating bolts of lightning at enemies. The lightning collects in the caster's hand and is released when they cast the incantation. Aaron Ehas co-created The Dragon Prince and was also head writer on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Callum, the character who primarily casts fulminous, is voiced by Jack DeSena, who played Sokka in Avatar, a show that's totally relevant for the themes of the book this week.
You haven't even read that?
Wait, what are you doing with the book?
So he has the confidence to finish the story.
Hear now the words of the witches.
This is Kevin, and welcome to Words of the Witches, the Charmed podcast that will guide you through the lesser-known published material in the Charmed universe and decide how it fits into the grand narrative of the TV series. Episode 26, we're on book 25, The Brewing Storm. Da-da. With me today, I have Mark Schmidt. Hello.
Hello.
I think I met you on the Facebook groups first.
I mean, I actually reached out to you on Tumblr.
The Tumblr days. Oh my gosh. I keep forgetting that existed. But yes. But you always have really profound and strong opinions about the show, and you know it's clear that you know about the show, which makes me happy. So
yeah, I have opinions about a lot of things.
When did you first discover Charmed? My
initial discovery of Charmed, it was on Christmas. I remember that much. I don't remember what year. I wish I did. My grandma got me and my brothers. I have two brothers. We were sharing one bedroom. And they got us a TV for Christmas to finally have in our room, you know? And I was just flipping through channels to see what's on. And like I came across Charmed, and there was some fight scene. And I was like, this is awesome. So of course I ran to the TV guide, decided, had to check what's on WB. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I discovered it.
And you knew it was an action scene, but you don't know which episode.
I don't. And like, cause it was so new, and like, I was trying to remember what it was, but I think it was early season 4.
Okay. So if it was early season 4, it probably would have been about 2001 then for you.
Around there.
Okay.
So,
I mean, we don't have to talk about Charmed exclusively right now. Is there anything else that you enjoy? Anything that's cool in your life right now that you want to share?
Cool in my life. I mean, my life's kind of uneventful, but I've been part of a dance group for the past 11 years.
Oh, that's exciting.
Chicago.
Yeah, you're in Chicago, so you're very close to me. Yeah, you're super close.
That's why when you went over to see, like Comic-Con and stuff, I was like, just hit me up. Let me know.
Yeah.
And I'm actually taking a break right now. I just decided last week because with COVID and I got a new job and just getting burnt out. So I need to step back from all this stuff. I'm
not a dancer, so and I really admire people who do dancing. I mean, I've done shows, I do musicals. I can still, I can hold my own, but it's like I'm not the most adept at it. So it's like, I'll sing pretty. That's what I do. So
yeah. Disney princess, you sing?
Disney princess. Do you have a favorite season or episode?
I don't really. My two favorite, I could give you seasons. I would say season 3 and then season 4, just because I also like dark.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like those two seasons were kind of what I love, and I think what most people love about Charmed. It was still mystical, lighthearted, fantasy. But then, I loved when Phoebe turned evil, of course, and I love the dark. And I feel like those two seasons were kind of a transition. Season 5 just got really loud and colorful and standard.
Definitely a tonal shift in season 5.
Definitely. Sure. Yeah, so I feel like those two seasons sum it up. When it comes to favorite episodes, I can't even pick. Charmed and Dangerous is one of my favorites.
That stands out. Okay.
So I'll say that for now.
I mean, that kind of fits into your theme of darkness, because it's a very heavy episode, a
lot of action,
a really high threat, and a pivotal moment. It's the what we've been waiting for all this time, the seasons, the big bad. So I feel I get it. Speaking of season 5, this book is The Brewing Storm, and there's a little bit of pressure with this book because The Brewing Storm is kind of the fan favorite of the novels. People love this one a lot.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, I hope I really like it because I'm like, because I don't want to
Did,
like disappoint everybody. Um,
did you read it before this? Have you read it? I
I
mean,
have read it before
online?
this. I've read
Okay,
'cause most of my books. I've had them for like 20 years because
exactly.
I got them as they're coming out, and I read them so long ago. But it's like I have like so little memory of them. When I do read them
Mhm.
again, I get flashbacks. I'm like, this is vaguely familiar. So,
Exactly same.
but I'm glad that we're doing this podcast because it's cool to rediscover and reread these for me. The cover of this is kind of crazy.
Hmm.
So we've got it's very green. It's like this whole green background, lots of like green lightning. It's got Phoebe, Paige, and Piper. Season 5 promo pictures, although they changed Piper's dress to black, even though it was like a red
Hmm.
shirt.
Right.
Uh, and then we have a season 1 promo picture of Darryl on the front cover.
Hmm.
So that's kind of exciting because we know that he's going to be featured a little bit more. A nice change of pace for that. And then I think Dorian Gregory only had season 1 and season 4 promo pictures. Yeah, but they use a season 1 promo picture for this one. Then there's like these like cat eyes on there,
Yeah, that
and
makes no sense.
the cat
To
eyes.
me, I'm like, I mean, it's a cool cover and it's pretty, but I don't know.
I was thinking that might be the demon, maybe
Yeah, it
it's, but
might be Tempest's eyes or
yeah. But
Tempest's eyes.
what makes even less sense than that are these weird like cogs in the
Mhm.
background. Like, why are there like clock cogs and machineries? And there's like time, like there's like 3s and 6s and little numbers and a 4 in the background. I don't know what that
Mhm.
means. I don't know
I
what
mean,
I.
time's running out.
Yeah, because I read this book and just those imageries don't seem to fit with what I would seem. But it's a very pretty book. It's a very green, pretty book.
Hmm.
Paige's shirt, because this is she's wearing blue originally. They changed it to look like
Hmm.
this like light green shirt as well. But she's got her red hair, season 5.
Yeah,
This is the
naturally.
last cover featuring season 5 pictures.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
next book will be season 6 picture. So yeah, and then it has the tagline, once a century the elements converge. And the back of the book says, earth, air, fire, water, a child must bring them all together. Calm the shaking, quell the slaughter. Tonight's the night, it's now or never. The rhyme isn't really good there, but that's fine. Despite wacky weather threatening the San Francisco area, life for the Charmed Ones is as normal as ever. Normal, that is, until 11-year-old Tyler Michaels shows up at their door. Tyler, a Firestarter, is on the run from demons. Though the Halliwell sisters have dealt with Tyler before, a glance at the Book of Shadows turns up new, unexpected information about the boy and the forces for which his magic can be harnessed. Once a century, the planets align in such a way that the tides shift and the climate changes, causing unpredictable weather and earthquakes. With the world out of balance, the Firestarter is charged with gathering the other elementals on the night of Aeolus to perform a sacred ritual. Without this ritual, the weather will eventually tear the world apart. But the demons chasing Tyler want to divert the elemental power and channel it for dark evil. The Charmed Ones must prevent this from happening at all costs, but the night of Aeolus is already upon them. Oh,
Very intense.
this was written by Paul Ruditis. This is his first book. He goes on to write the Book of Threes, the Charmed Companions, and the season 9 comic books, and a few other novels. So this is a name we'll see a lot. And it was published July 6th, 2004, and then reprinted August 2nd, 2004. The time where this takes place, they don't really give you a clear answer. I mean, it has to take place after Lost and Bound because that's where Tyler first appeared. So we
Hmm.
know that. But they say that Phoebe and Cole are divorced.
Hmm.
And I believe the first time Phoebe says ex-wife is in Witches and Tights.
I mean, they like made Paige a social worker on like a deep case, like I don't I was like, okay, that's a little, premature. But yeah, it's in between, definitely in between that. And I would say the start of the 5th season, maybe after her hair became red.
They mentioned Paige having red hair in this, so we know she is a redhead.
Hmm.
If this was season 5 and Paige was a redhead, she would not be a social worker anymore.
Exactly.
And Piper would be pregnant by now.
Hmm.
Uh, So there's quite a few discrepancies. We'll get to at the end, but for the sake of this book, I'm going to put this between season 5, episode 4, Siren Song. So between Siren Song and Witches in Tights, I would put this in. So Prologue starts off with San Francisco going crazy. The weather is a muck, and it's it's over the course of this week. It's been foggy. It's been super like hot. It's been freezing. It's been cold. It's been icy. It's been windy. It's been raining. It's all over the place with the weather. So they're like, what is going on? And they said this was like something that's never been seen before in recorded history. Although we're focusing on this character now. His name is Christopher Young, and he knew that it had happened before, though, in unrecorded history. So he's like, oh, he knows something that the rest of the world doesn't. Interested. Christopher is a meteorologist, and he is rushing to get away from a car full of demons that are chasing him. So Christopher dials someone on his phone and leaves a voicemail saying that, okay, you're in charge now. I left you the files, and you should go after the kid. You should find the kid. And so that's kind of vague. We don't know what's going on, but we're like, oh, I want to know more. So the demons get closer to him, and he's like, you know what? He's supposed to go on TV and give the weather spiel. He's like, I'm probably not going to make this broadcast tonight. I don't think I'm going to make it. And he ends up on this bridge. I don't think it was the Golden Gate Bridge, but he was on a bridge of something. And he thought about using his powers. So he mentioned some powers. Okay. But he decided, because he's kind of in public, he's like, I don't want to get other people involved. I don't want to put civilians in danger. So as the demons neared him, they get close to him. Christopher jumps off of the bridge because he's like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to choose how I die. And I'm not going to let these demons take me. And he jumps off the bridge. And before he hits the water, he like bursts into flames. There's your opening credits.
I mean, I'm pretty critical. So first off, I was like, what are these demons chasing around in a car for? If they're going after somebody, I mean, it seemed very uncharacteristic.
It's kind of like a clown car. It's like very clown car, like
exactly. And I was like, what's going on here? The one demons that are driving everywhere. I mean, but for the most part, I think it was a good start. You know, it's suspenseful and it gets you questioning what's going on. And chapter 1. So I think we start off with Paige walking on Piper, cooking some stew. I guess it takes a while to, cook up. And Paige is like, I don't know, what are you up to? And she says it's taking 4 hours. And
she's like, are you making breakfast? And then she's like, no, I'm making dinner. I'm to start earlier.
Cooking dinner in the morning. And she's kind of getting frustrated, but with the life being so hectic, she doesn't have time to do that. Quake was so far long ago. Yeah, so this chit chat, and Leo comes in. Piper gets Leo to go back to the store of pistachios. He kind of showed up with ingredients before, and he's the, I guess, little taxi dude doing his chores, being a good husband, picking up what he needs to for the wife. She's taking the day off to remind herself of some of her old recipes that were lost in a demon attack. Naturally, she blows stuff up and things get ruined. Piper is called, I don't know, the manager calls her or something. Someone calls her. P3 is, having some issues with the weather and caused some problems. I can't remember what problems it were.
They said something, there's like a bunch of leaks, and then like things fell over, and like there's all kinds of things that were listed that they have to take care of now because the weather caused havoc and something like that. So
Phoebe joins her sisters and says that she has to go to negotiate her new contract for work because Elise has big plans for her. Obviously, she gets her billboard eventually and this and that. And she's kind of feeling lost with the terminology and confused with what needs to be done. But, she gets through it. And then Phoebe wonders when she became the responsible adult. And Paige quips that it sneaks up on you. But yeah, I mean, I think that's always been a thing with Phoebe. It's growing up, become more mature. So,
she's like, I'm a career woman now. Here I was never having a job.
When the hell that happened? This job just snuck up on me. I was just saving the innocent, and now I got the full job. Darryl arrives late to work. He thinks about the line he's done on cases involving magic. And the guys in the office tease him about the weather, as he's gotten quite a rep for being involved in the weird cases. The exploding jumper news intrigues Darryl, but his chief sent him on a case of a missing kid instead.
So chapter 2, Darryl talks. So he's on the case for this kid. So he talks to the adoptive parents of the missing boy, Tyler. And we all know Tyler from Lost and Bound. He was the Firestarter that had the demon bounty hunter parents. And he really kind of bonded with Piper. She taught him that magic is a gift, but then he still ended up getting his powers bound because he figured, he might as well enjoy being a kid and not have to worry about the threats and becoming a source's
bodyguard.
Bodyguard.
Normal life.
So this is after all that. And FBI agent Sam Harkins will be working on the case with Darryl. He appears there and it's like, yeah, okay, we're going to go for this together just because I don't trust the cops. I don't know. Mr. and Mrs. Michaels, the adoptive parents, say that Tyler's last foster parents disappeared and that his social worker, Paige, has been such a help. Yay, Firestarter. So yeah, his adoptive parents don't know much about what happened. They don't know about magic or the demons, but they're like, I guess those other people were bad news. So good riddance to them.
And he adopted a murderer.
Yeah.
He brings up his parents. Good luck with that.
Good luck. So Phoebe goes to meet with Elise, and Elise wants Phoebe to fill in for Granny Goodwords, which okay. So yeah, Granny Goodwords. Apparently, the Bay Mirror has a children's advice columnist as well, and she is on sabbatical. So she's like, "Hey, Phoebe, you do advice. You want to do some advice for children?" And Phoebe was taken aback by this. I don't know if she even gave her a real answer. Did she?
I don't think so. No,
I think she just kind of left.
Laughed it off, and slowly backed out of the room.
Yeah, because a new issue emerged. So as she was talking with Elise, a reporter for the paper informs Elise that she'll be covering the Tyler Michaels news. She's like, "Oh yeah, there's this boy thing, and I'm going to go and investigate that." And Phoebe was shocked when she heard the name Tyler. She's like, "I know that name. That's that kid. Okay, well, now I'm intrigued. Sorry, I can't help be Granny Goodwords." Piper sends Leo back to the store in order to perfect her meal. She's like, "I need some more ingredients. Sorry." It's like, come on, get your shit together, Piper. And then Piper and Paige find Tyler, but they find Tyler at the back door of the kitchen. And they're like, "Well,
it's lurking."
That's you, chapter 3.
The demon, Tempest, was trapped in a stone room. He sent his minions off to meet the others. His plan to be freed is underway. His girl boss and 3 swole dudes are his minions for the most part. Maybe those are her eyes on the cover.
Maybe.
Who knows? Tyler tells the gang that he was attacked by someone in the night. He didn't want to yell because he didn't want his new parents to get hurt. Tyler hit the guy and escaped.
With a baseball bat.
With a baseball bat. Just a little blood. They made note of that. Mm-hmm. Piper, Paige, Leo, and Tyler head to the attic, where all the good episodes start. Phoebe finds Darryl at the doors and lets him in. Darryl asks about Tyler, and Phoebe tells him he's here, naturally. On the attic, Paige finds the Firestarter page and notices that there's a new entry about them being used in the night of Aeolus. The book just naturally updates itself. Very handy.
Yeah, they made a comment about this, how it's like from the Halliwell, like the dead Halliwell family.
The whole line or whatever. I mean, I figured naturally that's how it would fill up if no one is around to use it. It's not like Graham's had people stopping by to add stuff.
I did a bonus episode where we talked about the Book of Shadows, and we kind of surmised that that's how it happens, because otherwise I don't think every witch was a natural artist or calligrapher. And then the fact that, these people, these demons, they have information on these demons who've never been vanquished before, but know how to vanquish them. So it's like, where does this information come from? So it had to be somewhere from Magic Beyond or whatever. And so it's interesting that this book mentions that what we thought would be true, it makes it into like this book canon anyway.
I always thought about that too, because I was like, there's some great art in there, and there's some not so great art in there. She finds the page, and it's updated with some new info on the night of Aeolus. Am I saying that right? Aeolus?
Aeolus, yeah.
They find that this is the reason the weather's been so wonky every day.
Yeah, so chapter 4, it's them reading the entries of the Book of Shadows. So this is the entry. It says, the night of Aeolus. Once every century, the planets align in such a way that it causes the winds to shift and the climate to change. During that period, weather becomes unstable and the earth begins to shake as the world falls out of balance. On the night of Aeolus, by the light of the full moon, the elements must come together to set everything in its proper place. To do this, a Firestarter is charged with gathering other elementals at the Circle of Gaia to perform the ritual of the Guardians. Lots of like official titles of this stuff.
Yes.
If the elements do not combine, the weather will continue to wreak havoc and could eventually tear the world apart. If the elementals use the ritual to divert the power of the elements to the demon Tempest, he will be able to control the weather and the very earth itself. Okay, so they know that there's this Tempest guy that's apparently after it. They decide to help Tyler find the elementals because they're like, oh, the Firestarter, that's you. And Phoebe gets a vision of the past of Christopher from the prologue jumping off the bridge and turning into fire. Leo thinks that he must have been a Firestarter too. And then Paige looks around some more. She's like, this thing mentions Tempest. Let's look for him in the book. And it says Tempest was banished to a neutral environment that he can only leave on the night of Aeolus. Tempest commands a quartet of demons with the ability to drain the powers of elementals. If the powers can be collected from 4 elementals by the night of Aeolus, they will transfer those powers to their master, and he will be able to control the weather all over the world. And this is not to be confused with Tempest.
Tempest.
This is so close to Tempest, but it's not. It's Tempest. And the Paige does mention like Tempest in here. She's like, "Is Tempest?" And Piper's like, "Oh no, we vanquished him already."
Long time ago.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they, at least made a separation there. Tyler now asks for his powers back, because he's like, I guess if I'm the Firestarter, I might as well get my powers back because this seems important. So they perform a spell Piper wrote to get his powers back, and then Tyler shoots a large fireball, and it starts some Christmas decorations on fire, which kind of reminded me of when Piper blew up the Christmas decorations. And they're in the attic, so now they must have moved the Christmas decorations from the basement to the attic, and then they got burned up some more.
Exactly, because we see them celebrate Christmas so often in the show. There's just decorations everywhere.
That was an Ultimate Power Challenge, my first set of books. So there you go. It's 3 times it was shown. Darryl opens a window and notices that his FBI partner Harkins is sitting outside he's at the door of the manor. He's like, oh, well, this is going to be kind of hard to explain. Let's figure something out.
Okay, so the next chapter, while Darryl preps Paige for the questioning that Harkins most likely do, because it's a little suspicious with Darryl just hanging around the social worker's house, especially if they don't know that they know each other. So naturally, Paige answers the door. She and Darryl tell Harkins she hasn't seen Tyler. He's still missing. They have no idea. She hasn't seen Tyler since she finalized adoption papers last week. Loud crashes come from the attic, and Paige says they're heavily cleaning. Of course, Harkins is getting suspicious because that's some intense cleaning if you can hear all the way from downstairs. Paige and Darryl awkwardly get Harkins out, but Darryl suspects something. While all that is happening and they're being questioned and looked at funny at the door, all those loud bangs just happen to be the 4 demon minions appearing in the attic and causing some havoc. Action ensues. Piper orders Tyler not to use his powers because their abilities, what they can do is they pretty much absorb and send them back to you. Phoebe flipped a demon unconscious into the hallway. That's to be noted as you pop up later. Piper grabs a potion that was lying just down standby and threatens the demon, said it would vanquish them all. Very convenient, very handy. the conscious demons flee, leaving their little bro behind. Piper admits that convenient potion would just end up being a sleeping potion, but they didn't call her bluff and it worked.
Yeah, she's just like, what if that potion would have done if you threw it at them? Oh, well, it would have just stained their clothes a little bit. Like, all right.
Exactly.
She's like, it's not even done yet. So, chapter 6, Paige and Darryl come up the stairs, and while they're coming up the stairs, they see the unconscious one. They're like, is this yours? Like, I guess this is yours. Here you go. And they move him to the middle of the attic. They begin a ritual while Darryl takes Tyler downstairs to be safe. Darryl kind of really meets Tyler and like for the first time, and they have a heart-to-heart kind of thing.
It was a cute moment.
Yeah, Tyler asks Darryl if he'll ever have a normal life, and Darryl tells him he's not sure what that is anymore, but the sisters will always be there for him. So it's like whatever life you have, however normal you can make it, just know that people care about you, which is, a good thing.
The sisters care about you and they protect you. I feel like this, because Tyler's struggling, and then at the same time, Darryl is having this midlife magic crisis.
Right.
Of how to deal with this as a human. So it was just a cute moment for them to kind of talk things out, and for Darryl obviously to comfort Tyler in this hectic life as a fire starter.
So then it cuts back to the attic where the demon is. Piper pours water on the demon to awaken him, and they ask him. He's kind of like trapped in. I don't know if they did a crystal cage, but they did some kind of.
They didn't. Like, it was a weird thingy. It was like, what are they doing right now?
It's like candles.
I don't like this.
Yeah, it was.
It's the cage.
Yeah, it was a cage of candles.
And then the stew pot was weird.
Yeah, the stew pot, because they like had Paige orb the pot of water from the kitchen to them so she can pour it on him.
Yeah, to wake him up. That's a lot of work. Just, I don't know, smack him or something.
Yeah. Hey,
slap him around. Scare
buddy.
him.
Yeah.
Toss something at him. Throw stuff at him until he wakes up. He's a demon.
Right. Yeah. So, but they have him trapped and they question him and they ask him how they knew that Tyler was going to be here at the manor. It's like, how do you know what Tyler is and how do you know he'd be here? And they threaten him with a vanquishing. I have another podcast where I say vanquishing all the time. So after
vanquish.
Yeah, we say funny words. We say vanquish. And so when I come back to this podcast, I always have to remember to say vanquishing again. But yeah. So they threatened him with a vanquishing spell, and then the demon squealed on. He's like, "Okay, I'll tell you what I know." At first he wasn't, but he was like scared now. He's like, "Well, the last Firestarter they were after had done all this research on all these other elementals, and we found the file. So we read it, and we knew that Tyler was in that file, and he was going to be the other Firestarter. So that's why we're here." Ha ha ha. And
folded real quick.
Yeah. And this particular demon that they have was like the one that attacked Tyler earlier at his house. And that's when he found out that he tried to absorb Tyler's powers there, and he didn't get anything. And that's when they found out that he actually had bound powers, so he didn't have them at the time. He's like, "Yeah, I didn't realize they were bound, so I got knocked over the head with a bat." Based on the information from the file, they figured that the Charmed One's manor was somewhere he would go, so they had like a stakeout on the house, and then they just kind of watched it. And when they saw smoke, they're like, "Oh, he must have his powers back. Let's attack." But after that, he didn't. He's like, "I'm not going to say anymore. I'm not going to tell you anything else." So after that, they vanquished him anyway.
Yeah, it's a little pointless at that point. So next chapter, Darryl and Tyler, they hear a girly scream of this minion demon. So they assume he's being vanquished, because what else would it be? Then shortly after, the group joins them downstairs. Tyler remembers that Paige taught him to scry for Britney Spears when she was in town by using her CD. So he's curious about scrying. He asks, is that how they're going to find the other elementals? Naturally, being an elemental himself, Tyler ends up scrying for them. And after some practice, after failing and finding himself at the manor, he finds the 3 locations of the other elementals. And that's where they kind of split. And Tyler wants to go with Piper because, they're the cutest couple in the series.
They had that connection earlier, so he kind of
Honestly, exactly. The maternal.
Mhm.
It's cute. I love that dynamic. Then they agree to split up. Tyler wants to go with Piper, but Piper suggests he stays with Darryl, just to be safe, because again, the demons knew where to look for Tyler from the file and kind of had an idea of what locations to go to.
Yeah, and Daryl's like the only place I can take him is at my house, and they're like awkwardly, they're like, yeah, I guess that's true. Like, please take him to your house. Like, I guess that's what I have to do.
Sheila's there, but the kid's not there, and I guess Daryl leaves for his place, waving at the FBI agent that's staking out the manor because they were very
Yeah,
awkwardly suspicious.
they made this whole plan to get Tyler over there secretly because they can't have the FBI agents see them leave with Tyler, and it's like, how are we gonna trick him? And so this is like their plan to trick him.
I was like, this is so complicated.
I know.
When I was reading that, like Daryl's gonna walk out the door, and then I'm gonna orb Tyler there, and then you're gonna meet us in the garage. I'm like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah, and then Piper and Phoebe are gonna leave after you leave, so they're gonna, because they know the demons are kind of watching the house too, so they have the FBI agent and the demons watching the house, and so it's like, well, you leave, then you leave, then you leave. Paige will stay here. They're gonna think you're still in the house with the Tyler then, because they know that Paige and Leo are still here, so that's like, but you can orb, so you can just orb away, and they won't see you orb away.
Exactly, and if they come up knocking at the door to ask more questions, they had a moment where they were gone, so they don't actually know if you left the house or not. I don't know. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
that's the plan. After a while, Piper and Phoebe leave too. As I said, Paige orbs Tyler to Daryl's garage, and they're waiting for him to get there. They meet up, and she gives Daryl a potion to use if he's in a pinch. Not the sleeping potion, actual legit vanquishing potion.
All right, chapter 8. Oh, this is a long chapter. Okay, chapter 8. The remaining minions return to Tempest empty-handed. No Firestarter. Okay, well, why don't you just go after the other elementals then? In the meantime, and we can go after the Firestarter later, because as long as we get something, it'll be better than nothing. So this is where the story is kind of split. Paige orbs to Wilson Elementary School, and she comes upon a man being attacked by a demon. He's a teacher, and the man hid behind a desk, and he used his powers to cover the demon in like mats, like these heavy mats. Paige introduces herself, and he tells her that his name is Rafi. And then Rafi now pelted like chalk at the demon, and he and Paige make an escape. So he thinks he has like telekinesis. He's like, yeah, I'm telekinetic. I can do all these cool things. So the demon cornered them in the auditorium, and he begins to drain Rafi's power. Then Rafi is like, oh, I'm going to use my power on him. So he's focusing on the demon. And then all of a sudden his power starts to get absorbed. So then it cuts to Sheila, and she gives Tyler a snack and then has a one-on-one with Darryl. Darryl Jr. his son is spending the weekend with his grandparents. So he's out of the way. But Sheila is like having a hard time understanding what's happening. She's like, why is this kid here? What's going on? And Darryl continues to kind of keep her in the dark about magic. So she doesn't know about the charmed ones yet. This is where they mention Andy. Sheila's like, it's been getting weird around here ever since Andy died. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, you're drawing, yeah, drawing that card. So yeah, it's been a long time. Just then the chief calls Darryl and tells him to meet back up with the FBI agent Harkins regarding the kidnapping. He's like, you haven't been reporting to him. You haven't been talking to him. What's going on? And then Sheila kind of overhears this conversation, and she's like, so your boss doesn't know where Tyler is. His parents don't know where Tyler is. She's like, this is not right. He's like, you need to do something. Unacceptable. So you better go let Tyler's parents know that he's been found and he's alive, because how rude. So Darryl gives Tyler the potion that Paige gave him. He's like, here, use this if you need to protect Sheila. Get out of here if things go bad.
And remind him also to not use his powers, because they can easily absorb them.
Don't use your powers. It's like, we just give you your powers back, but don't use them.
Exactly. Don't use them. It's tempting, but don't. Yeah, that honestly, you should have just kept them down. Right.
Yeah,
I was like, wait a second. You should have bound all their powers if that was the case.
Yeah, but then they need them they need them for the ritual so that the world doesn't go into havoc. So they do need them eventually, but
Well, yeah, just you're all there at the end. Just say
yeah,
the spell to unbind them.
right.
This book could have been 10 pages, maybe. So after that, kind of gets the potion, Darryl leaves. And then you cut into Phoebe arriving at the hospital, San Francisco General, just wandering the hospital, no idea what's going on.
Mhm.
It's
It's like,
stress.
do you know anybody that?
Exactly. She's struggling how to find him. She's like, okay, first off, I don't know what this person looks like. I don't know exactly what elemental they are. They could
Right.
be
Any
wind,
one of them.
earth,
Any
or
one of them.
whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like going through her head, should I bump into people, try to premonition off of them? Maybe I'll, just bolt down the hallway trying to hit as many people as you can. Maybe you'll find her in that way. Yeah, so eventually she walks past a fish tank, and she sees the water swirling around in a weird vortex. So she assumes, I guess the person closest to it is the elemental.
Yeah.
She meets Gabrielle, a medical student, and actually made her realize that she could control water. She had no idea. She was just acting like Jesus and walking on water
Yeah.
before, but she had
Yeah.
no
She's like,
idea she had
yeah, I
powers.
walked on water once, but I thought it was, just kind of a fun
It was just a
happenstance.
it was a phase. They come and go. I don't understand. um, so Gabrielle is focused on her work and has no time to worry about the power. She's like, I'm a student. I'm a med student. I was a lawyer. She was a lawyer in her 20s, and she's now becoming a doctor. And she's definitely working her way up and, doing all this, but she doesn't have time for any powers. So she's like, I don't know. A chair comes flying through a little fish tank and aquarium. There's water and tropical fish all over the place. And naturally, it's a demon. And then it cuts to Piper arriving at a bank. She's in the pouring rain, and she's like, let me in. Damn bank hours. The place is closed. But there ends up being a 67-year-old woman that lets her in. This woman's like, I've been expecting you. The Oracle or something from the Matrix. She's just, she knows what's going on. The
She's like,
woman was,
are you Piper, Phoebe, or Paige?
yeah, I'm expecting a charmed one, Piper. And she said, I know all about you and the Firestarters and the other elementals and this and that, the ritual, the night of Alias. I don't know. I'm gonna stop trying to say that right. The night of
Aeolus, yeah.
Aeolus. I know everything.
I want to talk about Gabrielle a little bit because at first her character was annoying me because it's like, come on, get with the program. But then I'm thinking, like, this is a Black woman who was a lawyer and now a doctor. So I think about like how like driven she had to be, how much work she had to do, and how much like stupid things she had to deal with. Yeah, so I'm like, kudos to you. I mean, I can see why you might be so hyper focused because anything you had to do to get through this and get your jobs done. I'm like, I can understand it.
Of all things, this isn't the one thing that's gonna rock your world and take you out of all the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
She said, "Who's this white woman?" I got better things to do.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely noticed that.
And this other lady, this 67-year-old lady, they never give her a description of what she is.
Old woman. I'm just assuming she's white because like the whole African American thing seemed really intentional to this hardworking, thriving woman that's got no time for stuff she's not passionate about.
Chapter 10. Yes. Okay. Paige orbs behind the demon. So we're back at the school with Rafi and Paige, and this is right after he started to absorb Rafi's power. So Paige orbs behind the demon and kicks him to stop him from taking Rafi's power. Paige believes that he can only absorb your power if you use it on him directly because you used your power on him earlier by throwing mats at him and throwing chalk at him and nothing happened. So, okay. And Rafi learns that he is not telekinetic like he thought, but he's an elemental with aerokinesis, the ability to control the winds and the air around you, the airbender.
Seriously, I was like, I can't with these names because after Avatar, I'm like, it's just airbending, water bending, earth bending, fire bending. Firestarter rolls off the tongue a lot, because you've been saying it for years. But what was it? Earth bearing.
It was Earth Shaker, Water Bearer, Wind Walker.
Something like that.
Yeah, Wind Walker and Firestarter. Yeah.
They don't got a flow.
They sound very kind of like, I don't know, mystical, I suppose, but it's not the kind of generic words put together.
Yeah, really.
So Rafi and Paige continue to fight the demon, and then it cuts to the Michaels house, the parents of Tyler. Maria and Steven are their names, the parents. Darryl asks both of them into a private room in their house. He's like, is there anywhere that we can go that's not watched and not being like documented? And so they take him to a private room, and Darryl tells them that he knows where Tyler is and that Paige is involved because we know you like Paige. So she is involved. She's taking care of things, but he can't come home yet because his life is still in danger. So just to ensure everything works as planned, keep this information secret. I just wanted you to know so you don't worry, but keep this secret. And then if everything goes according to plan, you'll see him tonight.
He's still in danger, but don't worry. I just wanted to let you know that he's not dead. We know that for sure.
Right.
But
and Steven, the dad, he's apprehensive about this. He's like, I don't know, this sounds a little, which I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But he does agree. And then Harkins, the FBI agent, greets Darryl outside and tells him that he noticed that the sisters' names seem to appear a lot in your cases. Just something I noticed. So you want to talk about it?
And then it cuts back to Phoebe and Gabrielle and the water bearer. Phoebe and the water bearer in the hospital after the demon just chucked the chair through the fish tank and there's water everywhere. The aquarium smashed and the crowd begins to appear in the hallway. Phoebe and the demon both go after a glass shard from the aquarium because they can't use their magic and there's no weapons really. They're just in this waiting room and it's very, I don't know, childproof. So they both chased after the same, I guess, glass shard from the aquarium. The demon slips and Phoebe sees it as a perfect opportunity to grab the vending machine and push it onto the demon. That just, I mean,
she's
then,
strong. Holy crap!
I guess it's adrenaline.
Yeah.
She pushes the vending machine over onto the demon, and an ER doctor sedates him. Police would come to arrest him eventually. I mean, this is a hospital with just random people. This is big breakout fight. Someone slips and some other stranger, some woman just pushes a whole vending machine onto this man, and the way the book described it is just like he's sleeping. She put a whole vending machine on him. She crushed him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was weird. I was like, do they not know how, I don't know, vending machines weigh? Like that could probably kill somebody.
I mean, maybe because they were kind of watching, so they know he was kind of an attacker and he kind of did stuff, so maybe didn't feel so bad about it. I don't know.
I guess maybe that's he's a bad guy. He deserves it.
Yeah.
They say, okay, that's fine. The police will soon come arrest him. Phoebe wants Gabrielle to come with her so she could keep her safe, but she is just way too busy. She's got too much going on. She doesn't have time for magic. And Phoebe's like, I don't know what else I could do. So sure. In the meantime, it cuts back to this mysterious 67-year-old woman at the bank that lets her in from the freezing rain. She gives her a nice cup of coffee, and the woman tells Pepper her name. Her name is Muriel. Muriel?
Mariel.
How do you say that?
Mariel.
Mariel?
Yeah.
I guess. Her name is Mariel.
Yeah, it's like you're terrible, Mariel. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. Mariel is an Earthshaker and is a descendant of a long line of Earthshakers. This goes partly why she's not so shocked about her ability.
Mm-hmm.
Mariel pulls out the file of Tyler and the Charmed Ones and all the other elementals. Christopher, the guy that burned up on the bridge after an intense car chase in the morning, sent her copies of this convenient file that he's been putting together on all the elementals and the Charmed Ones. Mariel's family dealt with Tempest in the past.
Like 100 years ago.
I guess that's what happens when you're banished to someplace, but they decide to let you out on the one night that's most important for you to gain power. Like,
yeah,
like we're gonna banish you so you don't cause any problems, but you're gonna be let out on the most important night. as a main villain. It's the most important night that
That's
you
the
need to be
thing.
released. So we're gonna release you.
The rules for these things are made so that it's always going to be some epic fight. They're like it's just it's
Exactly.
entertainment at this point. It's like we're going to make these rules
Mhm.
fun just because that's the way we like it. We want to see what
Exactly.
happens.
We're gonna give you some time out. So he pulls out the file. Muriel's family is a long descendant of Earthshakers. She knows everything that's going on. A female demon appears at the bank with a gun. Very unusual for demons, but it is what it is, and she's gonna make it work apparently.
Yeah, they keep saying because these demons have no powers except
Exactly.
to absorb and reflect their
Absorb other
powers. Yeah,
reflect, yeah. So I
but
guess she's getting proactive.
yeah. So chapter 12 is back at the school. Paige and Rafi had managed to knock their demon out and put him in an equipment locker. Um, this is a fun part because Paige talks about, with great power comes great responsibility.
Mhm.
And Rafi's like, oh, Spider-Man. Does that make me Spider-Man? I love Spider-Man. I'm so cool. I love Spider-Man too. This made me happy. And then he's like, so if I'm Spider-Man, that must make you Mary Jane because you got red hair too. I was like, are you Mary Jane? We're gonna be a cute couple? What? Like uh Paige said she's like, I could kick MJ's butt. Like Mary Jane's got nothing on me. And then she realizes that Rafi was kind of awkwardly flirting with her. She's like, oh. She's like, no, that's not happening. So she dismisses that idea. And then she forces a sleeping potion into the demon. She's like, the demon is already knocked out, but just to make sure he stays knocked out, I'm just going to give him the sleeping potion too, that I just happen to be carrying. And then Rafi, oh yeah, earlier they talked about when they first met
Yeah.
Rafi, he's got these cages of animals in his classroom because he like
Some random.
yeah, some like lady like works at the zoo and she gave them animals to like use for a class and he has to return them back to the zoo now. He's like,
Mhm.
we can't leave yet. We have to return these animals to the zoo because I made a commitment to them. So yeah.
I don't understand why. Why did this have to be part of the book?
It is it's
It just added an extra stop.
yeah,
We got
it's
all these animals in
strange.
cages. I don't know.
I'm
That's okay.
thinking
He's a teacher.
maybe it's part of the whole like 'cause this is very like a very Earth love the world book, so maybe it's just like the creatures are important too. Um, that's all I got. So yeah, they take the animals back to the zoo, and then Harkins has a heart to heart with Darryl and tells him that if you continue to get involved in these weird cases, it might affect your future. Are you prepared for that? I just don't. I want you. You have so much potential. I don't want you to see it wasted. So Darryl like thinks about that. He's kind of worries about those words a little bit. He's like, does this mean I'm gonna have to distance myself from the sisters? Which I think is kind of a foreshadowing because that's something that he does kind of contemplate later on in the series. Like,
Hmm.
this is kind of getting too much. I think I should take a step back. So interesting. Darryl is driving home and this big earthquake shakes everything up. It's gigantuan.
Rocks the world.
Rocks the world, and it causes him to crash into a building. He's like shaking off of his thing. He crashes into a building, and then after the crash is done, he looks down. He's like, he sees this piece of metal sticking out of his chest. He's like, oh great, and he blacks out in the car. So this does not look good. I'm like, are you impaled? Are you dead? What's happening?
Who knows what happens to Daryl? Yeah, stay tuned.
Mhm.
And back at the bank, the female demon stood confronting Piper and Muriel. The ground started shaking and the demon sneered.
It's like you're gonna use your power on me, Maryhill. I'm ready to absorb
Exactly.
it.
Muriel's like, that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do nothing. I didn't see nothing. I didn't shake nothing. Um, Muriel assured Piper that she was not doing it at all. As the earthquake escalated, Piper threw her hot coffee in the demon's face and they ran. Piper and Muriel sped in her SUV while the demon continued to shoot at them. Eventually the demon backed off. The earthquake caused some lockers. Oh, so now we're back at the hospital. The
Mhm.
earthquake caused some lockers to fall on the door and trap Phoebe and Gabrielle in the room. Phoebe coaches Gabrielle to use her powers, and she eventually pulls water flowing, I guess, everything's kind of flooded at this point from the tank and things like that. She teaches Gabrielle how to channel her powers and push the lockers away from the door using, I guess, the flow of the water and I don't know, just
Yeah.
lift up the lockers with the water. Just I
Yeah,
don't
like
know.
a big force of water. Just push it up and
Exactly.
that burst. Yeah.
A wave and just set them free. Gabrielle said she can't go with Phoebe because she needs to help these people at the hospital. So this is the moment where she's
Yeah.
like, I know you want me to save the world, but
Like all
people
these
need me.
people. I'm a med
Yeah.
student. I can really help these hurt people after this earthquake just
Mhm,
shook the world.
mhm. And like I recently the other day I was watching what's the name of the episode? I can't remember. But Ava in the hospital, she's like, look around you. I'm helping people just with science, not magic.
The eyes have it. Yeah.
The eyes have it. Yeah, so that kind of reminded me of her not caring. I mean, she cared, but one step at a time. This is where she tells Phoebe to come back and get me before midnight, and she'll see if she can sneak away for a little bit and save the world. See if she could pencil it in. So Phoebe's like, okay, I don't know what else to do. Let me reconvene with everybody else. So Phoebe drives off and nearly collides with the ambulance without realizing that it was the same ambulance that was carrying Darryl back to the hospital
Ooh.
after having the stake in the
Stabby stab.
chest. Exactly, the stabby stab in the chest. Yep.
Chapter 14. Tempest is glad the female demon returned to him. He's like, you're here. The others aren't here, but I'm not concerned about them anymore. Whatever. And it's like, as long as I got you, we'll get it done. Piper returns to the manor with Muriel and is relieved that the damage from the earthquake wasn't more than the usual abuse it takes. She's like, yeah, we fight people all the time in here. Piper calls for Leo. Paige and Rafi arrive shortly as well. It's like, we made it. And then Phoebe comes in. And everyone's like, you're missing somebody. Where's your elemental? What's going on? And she tells the others that I think Gabrielle will come around. Maybe. I think she sounded like she might. Yeah.
One job, Phoebe. Come on. We all did our part.
Yes. Leo comes back from the elders and he was back already, but he came back from the elders and he reveals that the location of the circle of Gaia where the ritual is to take place is right next to the San Andreas faults, which makes sense why there's earthquakes. It's like the crystal, I forget what they say, crystal springs. And then Leo says that the elders won't let them orb there because the elders are dicks. It's like you have to get there by earthly means.
They made up some phony excuse by walking in the moonlight or something like that, but they just really want you to work for it.
Yeah.
Character building.
You can't orb there. That's cheating.
Exactly. What is this? Convenient magic? What are you? Come on. Everybody drive to find your elemental.
Yeah, carpool together. And because there's so many of you, you have to take 2 cars because that's what you want. And then you walk on foot when you get to the path.
Exactly. It's separate cars. Not enough people to qualify for a drive pool lane. Like, what is this? Elders. Jeez.
Yeah, we hate them. Anyway, so Muriel tells the people that are there that we will need to take some items with us when we do the ritual. And we need to get a sword and a chalice, a wand, and some coins, which those are the 4 suits in tarot. So I'm like, I thought that was interesting. And each one of the tarot minor arcana have those elemental affiliations. So I'm like, that's kind of a cool little tie-in. And then Leo answers the phone, and it's Sheila. So what does she have to say? I don't know.
So Sheila calls, and they learn that Darryl is in the hospital in critical condition because
oh geez,
I mean, stabby stab.
Stabby stab.
They found out what it was. After that, Leo doles out the assignments for the group to save Darryl and take on this night of Aelus.
That word.
That hesitation, yeah. Aelus. Piper went to the attic to gather the items. That was her job for the ritual. The sword, chalice, wand, and coins. Figured that out, Piper. But she was frustrated and scared. Muriel finds her and calms her down the way she does. I don't know, as a 67-year-old
I'm gonna
compassionate
I'm,
woman who is so wise with wisdom or something.
I'm gonna read that excerpt because I kind of really liked it. I thought it was nice.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm a little stressed now. I can see that, Muriel said. Everything is going to work out. How can you say that? Piper asked, banging more drawers. Because it always does, Mary replied. Piper slammed the last drawer shut. No, it doesn't, she said quietly. Oh, sorry. No, it doesn't, she said quietly, thinking back to her sister Prue, who had died the last time everything didn't work out. True, Mariel said as something unspoken passed between the two of them. But we move on. We live. And honey, you've got to live. But I've got all these responsibilities, Piper said. And you do what you can and then move on. Start by finding anything that can make your life a little easier. Mariel said as she held out her hand and showed Piper that she was holding 2 quarters, a dime, and 4 pennies. Ralphie had these in his pocket. But you said you needed old coins, Piper said. No, I said the old coins would be better, Mariel corrected her. But if it's going to take all night to find these coins, we should just make do with what we have. It doesn't always have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough. So that's kind of a nice little moment.
Mm-hmm. They all have their moments and epiphanies in this about what they're going on through. We definitely read that a little different because I read it in a snippy Piper moment, and so I was like, damn, Mario's really annoying. Why is she asking like 21 questions right now? Can't you see Piper's trying to find some coins and she's just like, what's going on? Are you mad? It's just the way it is. And Piper's like, I don't know, look for some coins, Mario. What are you doing? I know this isn't your house, but
I guess so.
Let me blow up my drawers if I want to.
That makes sense.
Use my powers. So that was me.
I was thinking this as like a really emotional scene. Like, Darryl is hurt. She's probably freaking out. She's like, this is bad. And I feel like Mariel was like that voice of reason for her. It's just like, we can get through this. Just as long as you get the basics, don't worry about being perfect all the time.
She definitely was that voice of reason in that moment. I feel like the moments leading up to it, I was like, she's
a little nosy.
Exactly. Go look for coins, Mariel. Go look for coins.
That's funny.
I was gonna say the one person that knows what we need to look for. Just look around. Open the drawer. Paige arrives at Darryl's house. She sympathizes with Sheila. This is the moment where the FBI agents are coming to the house to pick up Sheila and take her to the hospital. So Paige decides to take Tyler back to the manor because at this point he's still supposed to be missing. So Phoebe and Leo at the same time get to the hospital. They try to convince Gabrielle to cooperate with them so they can get back to Darryl, who is kind of off limits because naturally you can't just walk into anybody's room in the hospital. Get back there so Leo can heal him and save his life. We need Darryl for a couple more seasons. She's busy. She's like,
that's not my job. There's another nurse. He has his own nurse there, right? She's like kind of confrontational about it.
It's not my jurisdiction. I'm saving these lives. I don't know how much I can help you guys.
All right, and then chapter 16. So Gabrielle does finally agree to let them in. She's like, why don't I just take over for Darryl's nurse? Like, that was a good idea. They switch out, and she gets Phoebe and Leo in there. Leo heals Darryl, and then Darryl seems all gung-ho to jump back into action. He's like, hey, cool, let's go get this Tyler. Let's go get this Tempest. I'm down. I'm like, dude, you almost died. You need to like calm your tits a little bit.
But I'm up. I'm fresh. Let's go. Let's get this day started.
Right. I'm rejuvenated.
I'm alive, baby.
So Sheila then walks in. She's like, you better not be going anywhere. Like, no, you're not. Mm-hmm. But they do have a little sweet chat about it. And then she eventually gets Darryl out. Gabrielle is still in there, and she's like, what do you do? She's like, oh, I don't have any powers. She's like, oh, so then why do you help them? Why do you put yourself in danger? Darryl didn't have an answer. He's like, I just do. And then Gabrielle is convinced to come.
No power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
They must be good people if this person has everything to lose.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that, she's convinced to go to the Circle of Gaia. They're giving each other the pieces of the ritual. Tyler, as a kid, and I mean, just as anything, he wants a sword. Muriel says it's fine because the fire and air symbols are interchangeable.
Which is true. The wand and the sword.
Yeah, the wand and the fire. So those items are interchangeable. Rafi gets the wand, Gabrielle the chalice, and Muriel the coins that she had in her pocket the entire time Piper was blowing up the attic looking for something. I'm just saying, Muriel is just not my favorite character.
Okay.
They get Darryl out from the hospital and healed up. They bring him back to the manor, and they get him in one of Leo's, favorite plaid shirt. I'm assuming it's just a shirt, but I'm assuming
Yeah.
plaid, flannel, and Phoebe thinks Darryl looks hot in it because his muscles are fit to it. This Daryl's swole, and I guess
Yeah.
Leo's been really frumpy this whole time.
Right.
And
And he's like,
Darryl.
wow, Darryl, you fill that shirt out.
Exactly.
But Piper's like, no, Leo looks better because he's Leo.
Yeah, because I love him. He's mine. Phoebe consoles Gabrielle that life doesn't always have to go according to plan because she's just one of those types who's I was a lawyer in my 20s, I'm a doctor. She's very
I gotta do this and this and this and
for
this.
lack of a
This is-
better
this is-
word.
yeah, this is my plan.
She's very anal about life.
Uh-huh.
And she has a plan, and it's not going according to plan. So she consoles her. Gabrielle especially felt good when she realized that the body is 80% water, and that her power kind of fits into her plan anyways, because it's just who she is. Rafi eventually tells Paige that life is more fun with some insanity in it. I mean, and I think we also didn't touch on this, but this entire time, Rafi's been pointing and hinting at Paige about, oh, you should teach.
Oh,
You're
yes.
really good. You're really good naturally with
With
I don't know.
kids.
with
Yeah.
kids, and yeah. Like, I mean, they also made her a social worker, so I think they're playing around with that. But yeah, it's just Rafi's trying to help her realize or have her own epiphany. Muriel tells Piper she'd make a good mom just after watching Piper and Tyler, which we all saw in the episode.
They did. That was the chapter of bonding.
Mhm.
Chapter 18, the group takes 2 cars and head to
Mhm.
Crystal Springs for the Circle of Gaia, for the ritual, the Night of Aeolus ritual. On the way, and nobody explained where this came from. I still don't know where this came from. This giant fireball came at
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I don't understand. I didn't understand. I was like, wait, was that the demon? But then the demon at the same time doesn't really have any.
Yeah.
crazy
Is there a
powers.
volcano in there somewhere? Like,
Exactly.
it's
Where
just
did this
weird.
ball
Where did this
hurdle
fireball
from?
come from? I don't know. But maybe it's just part of the weather going crazy. I don't know. Like you had a
Yeah.
heat wave.
It just happened to aim at them.
Like
It was the
fires at them.
elders.
Yeah,
It was the
yeah. It's the elders. This is why you can't orb.
Trouble.
They would do something like that. Oh my god.
The elders are they're tired of the world. They're tired of saving people. They just want to get rid of it. So they're trying to take out the only people who could save the world in this moment. And we know which elder it was too.
Odin. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, so they have to swerve out of the way. And then this causes, because Phoebe's car is like following them. So they get out of the way, but this causes Phoebe's car to kind of like fly forward and they like almost fly off of a cliff. So Rafi's like, oh no. And he uses his aerokinesis to kind of ground the car back down, but he can't really hold it. So then Muriel, with her earthbending, is kind of creating this, like, she made like a rock thing to catch it, but then it was too high, so then she made like a plateau to bring it back down and brought the car to safety. This was the whole thing. But it was pretty much just an excuse to show them that they have powers and they can use them.
Exactly.
So then they begin to walk on foot. The car can drive apparently, but they just said this is the time we walk on foot, maybe because they can't fit through the path now. They have to walk now.
In the moonlight, whatever.
It's raining out though, because it's still storming, so there's rain everywhere. So Gabrielle's like uses her powers to kind of makes like this bubble, like this force field that has like a certain range that she can like keep them dry in, so it's kind of bouncing off. I'm like, that's kind of cool. It's kind of like the Violet Incredibles like force field, except it's with water. And then Tyler, he's like, well, what can I do? So he makes a fire. I want to help with my powers. And he makes a fireball and he kind of puts it out like 3 feet in front of them and uses it as like a guide down their path so they can see in the darkness.
He's like, can I dry your clothes for you? Just real quick,
It's like, no! We're not gonna get singed today.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna burn up like your bounty hunter parents.
The chair is still charred at home. Like, it's still never recovered. But we need light.
Yeah.
sweetie.
So
Need
yeah,
some
you can do
light?"
that. That's nice. Nice and innocent.
Exactly. Nice and safe.
Yeah, but Daryl's like, I'm gonna go leave the group because I'm the police officer. And he has the gun. He's like, let's go.
Out of my way. I'm a police officer.
Yeah. And at first Piper's like, no, you shouldn't leave the group. You don't have powers. But then it's like, yeah, but people that do have powers can't get them absorbed. So I was like, so then Piper's like, oh yeah, okay, go lead the way, Daryl. That's fine.
She's like, "Oh yeah, I should have bound them in the beginning of the book." But okay, go ahead, Darryl.
There you
Go
go.
ahead, Darryl.
And then they find the trail to their destination.
So they're finally off the main road and walking through the woods, and there's just a nice path of moonlight. Tempest's last male and female minions confront them. Paige orbs the female's gun because she still has it from the bank. Leo grabbed Tyler's sword and fought the male minion because he has so much experience with his sword, as we all remember.
Nice to remember, yes.
Yeah. Leo, as a pacifist, is swinging this sword around.
he's like getting real brutal with it too. He's like, I'm gonna decapitate you. I don't care.
Fighting some demons, trying to cut off some heads. He eventually, I don't even know if you have this on this little summary.
I think I do, where he stabs him.
Yeah, he stabs him. Okay. Well, in the process of trying to decapitate him, Leo's, swing this sword around. Darryl saves Tyler from being absorbed by one of the minions. And Leo, here we go. Leo impales the demon, vanquishing him. Very sweet, very kind of Leo to do.
I can just see the anger in his face.
Exactly. Leo holds it in for so long in the whole year, and he just lets it out at once.
This is season 7 Leo, like sneaking in.
Female demon later grabs hold of Tyler and starts to absorb his powers, but the other elementals shoot beams of their elemental energy at her, and she is overloaded, dies, and explodes, as demons do. I guess they go to another clearing. Tempest appears in the center of Gaia, and as long as he stands there, he can tap into the elemental's powers. And a hurricane surrounded Tempest as he began controlling all the elements, easily fighting off any attack. Failing to take the mortal into account, Darryl tackled Tempest off of the circle of Gaia so he can no longer control their powers. The sisters perform a vanquishing spell, and Tempest is gone. I mean, I guess the battle was more, the battle was more crazy than that.
Right. I kind of simplified it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's colorful lights and pretty lights of orange, element stuff, blue and this and that.
Yeah.
Darryl saves the day, tackles him. Oh yeah, that was the one thing too. He created a hurricane, and they couldn't say the spell because it
was
so
too
loud.
too windy, too loud. I think they tried to flood him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pushed the river back and stuff. So he was doing a lot of stuff. He was doing really crazy, powerful, you can't touch me. It's like Avatar state stuff he was doing.
And the thing too, they came in and he was there, and they're like, "Really, you're powerless," But he's like, "No, I control all of you actually. So let me show you real quick."
Yeah.
So Darryl tackles him. This is performing a spell, and Tempest is gone. The elementals are like, "Okay, how do we calm down this crazy, hectic weather? We're all gonna die." And Muriel comes in. She's like, "Oh, guys, don't worry. I know where we gotta go. I know where we gotta stand. Tyler, you there? Rafi, you there? And then Gabrielle, you there?" And it's a 5-pointed star. There's only 4 of us. What do we do? And Muriel took her moment to add on to why I don't like her. And she's like, "Okay, guys, wait. Oh, I forgot to tell you. We needed one more elemental. The human spirit." And she's like, "He's been here all along."
she pulled a Glinda. She's like, "Oh, you
exactly.
always had the power
to go home all this time. What do you mean?" And they were about to leave Darryl at the hospital.
This point is reserved for the spirit elemental. And she's like, "What spirit elemental? The most powerful elemental there is. It is the one that holds all the other elements together, the human spirit."
He's like, "I don't have any object. I don't got a sword. I don't have a chalice. I don't have coins. What do I have?" And she's like, "You have your heart."
Yeah, the power of hearts.
You're a pure human.
Darryl, will you take your spot in the circle? Please take your spot in the circle. Oh yeah, and then chapter 20. So Mary explains that it was the spirit elemental's job to find the Firestarter. Because they say like the Firestarter had to find all the other ones, but you know, it was the spirit elemental's job to find you. Oh my, well, so important. So Darryl takes his space with his symbol, heart, and the five perform the ritual, and the earth is at peace. Yay! They do their spell thing, which we'll read at the end. And then they all go back to their cars, which work perfectly, and they go home. Rafi says goodbye to Paige with just a hint of romance in the air. Because Paige is like, do I like him? What? I don't know. Oh yeah, Rafi was Hispanic too. They tell us sometime in there.
Oh yeah, well, because like at one moment they're like, because like I was like all these characteristics started popping up after I noticed African American.
So they say the goodbye. Gabrielle says her goodbye, and she leaves feeling freer than ever before. So she learned to lighten up a little bit through this process, which I'm like, okay, that's good. Don't have to be so anal all the time. And then Piper gives Tyler another power binding potion and takes him home. Piper hugs Darryl and sincerely thanks him for everything he's always done for them, which I really appreciated that because I don't think they ever really thanked Darryl.
We don't get it in the show.
Yeah, not like this.
Well, first I was reading that and I was like, this is so uncharacteristic, but it's much needed.
Yes, it's deserved.
Like, the things I noticed for Darryl, it's just like, they're on the phone and Piper hangs up. Like I was like, she didn't say bye, she didn't say thank you, she just hangs up. And I'm like, she does that all the time, or they do that all the time to Darryl in their conversations. And I was like, I know it's like just a writing thing most likely, but I was like, that's low key rude. This man's always putting his life on the line for you guys. So this was good that we had that.
Occasionally they'll say thank you, but it's not as like sincere as this, because this was like she gave him this big old hug, really happy for what he did for them and what he continues to do for them. And I'm like, okay, you get your moment, Darryl. This is what you needed this whole time.
His moment. And he was the hero of the whole book.
Yeah. And then Leo orbs Mariel home. And there's this weird like flirty thing with Mariel and Leo too. Where she's like always up eyeing up Leo, and Piper was like, should I be worried about you, Leo, taking you home? Are you gonna steal my husband? She's like, oh no, darling. Like
it's the plaid shirts.
Yeah.
The epilogue. So initially the plan was for Darryl to have a nice evening with Sheila. The kid was at the grandparents. At the end of the day, everything's a mess. The weather knocked everybody's power out and everything was crazy. So it all comes to a close where Darryl arrives at home to Sheila. They have their little moment, their little heart to heart. I love you. Thank you. I understand why you do what you do, Darryl. Just don't let it keep happening. And they get further in, and Sheila has this little romantic dinner set up, some candles, and
fine china.
A lot of time. Yeah, fine china. She took a lot of time and put a lot of love into these 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Very, very sexy meal for the 2 of them to share.
It was cute.
It was cute. She's like, I don't want to touch that gas stove. Lightning's going on crazy. Everybody's power's out. Let's not risk it. So they made some sexy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Sheila agrees that she doesn't want to add to the crazy right now, but tells Darryl that they will talk about this someday. Just come to more understanding. Darryl feels great knowing that he is exactly where he is supposed to be in this moment at this time in life with the sisters and with his family.
Ta-da! That's the end. This was a long book.
It really was.
Do you have any final thoughts? Your overall thoughts about the book?
I liked it. I remember when I initially read it, I really liked it because it brought Tyler back. But I think it was a good mix of what we are used to in this show. I mean, some scenes are very lengthy, but then again, it's a book. But I think it's a solid story. It's well done in the universe.
Yeah, I enjoyed that the story kind of took risks because it did it mixed it up a little bit from what we are used to seeing. I like that they used elemental stories because I'm a big fan of like elemental stuff, and Charmed never really did like a full bring the elements together thing like this.
Elements, yeah.
So that was really cool to see. And I liked the structure of it because I liked the way that it jumped back and forth and all over the place. It kind of felt on par with that chaotic nature of what they're going for, like the whole brewing storm. It's supposed to be like this mix of all these things, and like kind of the pacing of it felt like that. So it was a good parallel. And I like the way that the sisters were kind of split up into teaming up with other characters, with new characters. that is a cool thing to see. They're not together this whole book. They're like meeting new characters and having to fight on their own with this. Like that's just an interesting, refreshing perspective.
It really is. Like when I was reading it, I was like, for some reason, I don't know how to picture this right now. I feel like I've never seen Paige this long on her own with another innocent or something. You know what I'm saying? Because we get to like little brief moments of even like with her and her charges and stuff like that in the future. But like I feel like this young Paige, it was interesting to have on her own with innocent. I mean, he was cute and flirty, but I like it was a different approach to like I said, the whole book together felt like it could exist in the universe.
Yeah. Of course, I love that Darryl got some spotlight. He got a pivotal role in this. And this is Sheila's first book too, and she's just as stunning in this book as she was on the show. I'm like, I think the book says a lot about like the life you make for yourself and what is important to you. So every character kind of had those arcs. Even though it was a little bit contrived with the diversity, I appreciated the diversity in there.
Yeah, it was very charmed as Sex in the City, and this book had moments of, and just like that, where they all, we saw them on their own little adventures with their designated ethnic friends or minority friends.
Right. So we had Hispanic, we had the Black. I think you're probably right that Mariel was intended to be white, but for my Captain Planet fantasy, I was picturing her Asian because it'd be totally Captain Planet with her as Asian.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But our powers combined. but yeah, she probably was a white chick. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy the villains so much in this because I think they were just kind of being, for the purpose of being antagonists, simple antagonists. They did the job, but they didn't have much to them.
They're very powerless, and like I thought we'd have more. I don't know, for Tempest being the
big bad
boss or something. Yeah. I thought we'd, have this major final showdown, not just a light show.
Yeah, so that was the villains were kind of weak in this book, but I guess they weren't the important part. I didn't understand kind of like the rules that they had, like. Why does the Firestarter have to be the one to find the elementals? Like,
yeah, that was.
Mara had all the information. She should have been the one tracking them down. It's like, why does the spirit elemental have to find the Firestarter? Is this just like a prophecy, or is this like the way it is? It was a little weird to me.
It's like they had a basis, and they filled in the rules later.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, wait a second, how did they? And they're like, oh, and because eventually Tyler becomes the Firestarter in the bunch, and they're like, oh yeah, the Firestarter that is usually in charge of everything always has to have a backup fighter starter in his back pocket in case something happens to him. I was like, that's really convenient to just know the closest Firestarter around. And he just happens to be in the same city, and where's Christy this entire time?
She's with the demons. Yeah, nowhere to be found.
I guess so.
But like that's
just another after she was kidnapped.
Yeah, right. But that's another thing I brought up in the beginning. It's like, so Tyler gets his powers back and then is told not to use them. So stupid to me. Right. I definitely see why this is like a fan favorite book. I can see why people really like it. It still didn't beat my favorite book so far is still Dark Vengeance. It hasn't beaten Dark Vengeance yet. I really enjoy that one. So I do have some other like just little thoughts that I had. So how messed up is it that Tyler's adoptive dad has the same name as his bounty hunter dad? Stephen was the same name as both of them.
He's traumatized. He doesn't like he's going into this new family already stressed.
I love how this is going back to the Britney Spears thing. Paige thought Tyler wanted to scribe for Britney Spears because he's a teenage boy.
I was like, wait a second. Of all the artists, Paige is still young. She's not like 65 or something. Like, oh yeah, all the teenagers love Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. I was like, what year is this? This isn't 2000s. This is not the 90s anymore. Like, I mean,
yeah. So this book was written in 2004. So this is like book came out right about when season 7 was starting on TV.
He's like, oh, I mean, Britney Spears was in town, and I knew he just wanted to scribe for her
because it's like typical teenage boy. Although it's funny because in the comics, he's gay in the comics. I'm like, this fit. He didn't want to scribe for her because he was a teenage boy. He scribed for her because he's gay and loves Britney Spears.
Exactly. Yeah, I just think she's really sexy,
Yeah. I thought it was funny that GameCube was the hot console at the time.
Mhm.
They mentioned having a GameCube a lot. So
Yeah, and they also mentioned like Sheila. There was like sometimes I catch her turning off the GameCube, and I was like, I don't even know if I can picture Sheila playing video games
I
on her
can't.
own.
I can't. Like, what was she playing? Super Smash Brothers Melee? Like,
Exactly. But
but I do love how strong and perceptive Sheila is, even in this book. That was perfect for me.
oh yeah.
In chapter 13, there was a description that said, this is the female demon with a gun, that she popped off using the demon equivalent of orbing. I'm like,
Oh
that
yeah, I
is
thought
that is so
that
lazy
is
to me. You could have said
yeah, I
flaming,
was like,
hammer, blinking,
mhm.
something. Like,
Demon equivalent of orbing, this black orbs or dark orbs, you know what I'm saying? I was like,
yeah.
that's the equivalent. What is this shimmering? And like, okay, I was like, also like, you mentioned the writer, and I was like, there were moments about this when I was reading. I was like, have they watched the show? Like, there was that part, the equivalent. I was like, there are so many names for
I
it, you
know.
know?
And you could have even made up a new one. It didn't have to, it could have been
Exactly.
anything. When Gabriel asked Darryl like why he helps the sisters, I'm like, Darryl knows why he helps the sisters. The fact that he didn't have an answer kind of bothered me
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
he could have just said like you believe in the good that they do, or you became a cop to help people and they help people like you do something,
Mhm.
because the fact that he said I don't know. I was like, and the fact that Gabriel was convinced of that it wasn't very convincing to me.
But yeah, he was really torn in this about like lying or white lies, and you know,
Uh-huh.
I understand the family thing because you know we saw Darryl struggle in later seasons, especially after crimes and misdemeanors and all that stuff. Like you know, it was such a jarring moment. But this, I thought he was a little too torn about why he's doing this and this.
Mhm.
But I like that he got his moments throughout the whole thing.
So now we're gonna get into put that in my canonical hat.
Canonical.
And this is where we will point out the things that aren't canon, that are canon, or if you would like to see this as an episode, So
I would like to, like you said, I would like to see the elementals and stuff like that as an episode, or even like 2 episodes or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd be a good 2-part finale if it was if some of the things were left out, like if there was a better villain. But I like I said, I love the fact that Tyler came back, so I would want that episode just for that. You know, the recurring, you know, innocence and characters. I would want some of it as an episode.
I
If that makes sense.
have noticed there is a lot of things that would prevent this from actually being canon. There's a lot of errors.
Mhm.
But for the premise and for the structure itself, I would have loved this as an episode. So I am a fan as like in a general sense, as an overall sense. This would have been great. Just had to tweak the things that are wrong. So
Mhm.
speaking of things that are wrong, what have you noticed?
When when Leo was healing Darryl in the hospital, and it was blue, I think.
Yeah,
I was
they
just
said it
like,
was blue light.
what is this? What is going on? It's never been blue.
No, his healing isn't orbing. It's different.
Exactly. And I was like, that's the moment I was like, have these people seen Charm?
Back in the day, they would actually use light bulbs for the orbing or for the healing. Like,
Hmm.
so this is before LEDs. It's like we had to like have a hot light bulb under our hand. We had to like watch it so it
Hmm.
wouldn't burn us. Yeah,
Exactly. And I mean, I honestly prefer that practical.
for sure, definitely. So let's see. What do I have for a canonical? I have Piper should be pregnant.
Hmm.
Paige has red hair and Phoebe is divorced. So that's something to note, which is good. So I think I'm confident in where I put it. Paige should no longer be working her social worker job. I liked that Piper mentions working for a prissy restaurant manager, and I knew exactly who that was. That was Martin from The Truth Is Out There. And I'm like, so that was a nice throwback. Here's a big one though. Darryl acts like Darryl Jr. is his only son. Like he only has one son with Sheila. When
Yeah, I thought that.
they have two.
I was like, are they just not mentioning the other child, or?
Okay, so Darryl and Sheila have two sons, Mikey and Darryl Jr.
Mhm.
They gave the name for Darryl Jr. They said Darryl Michael Morris Jr. So they combined both of his sons' names in
Mhm.
one person.
Yeah, they clearly have two. You see it in the show.
Yeah, because Mikey first appears in Oh My Goddess. That's where it's like his birthday. He's celebrating it.
Mhm.
And then in season 6 of the premiere, they talk about Darryl Jr. So they do mention both of them, like really right back to back,
Mhm.
Battle of the Dolls. So, interesting. But yeah, that was wrong. when Elise mentioned that Phoebe was gonna ghostwrite for Granny Goodwords or whatever. Interesting. Phoebe ghostwriting for someone on sabbatical. That sounds like somebody I know. Leslie is ghostwriting for So that was interesting, especially since this came out around the same time that season 7 was starting.
Hmm. So honestly, Granny's column went unwritten, and all these kids, even though the world was saved, all these kids
Don't
had a
have the
bad
advice
day.
they need. Yeah, so sad.
Jeez, Granny should have been the hero. She should have just been walking by, and they're like, "We need a human spirit."
Exactly. Tempest was mentioned when they were looking for
Mhm.
Tempest. This is the first time Andy was mentioned since the very first book. He was only in the first book and never mentioned again until now. So that's kind of cool. This is book 25 and he's just now mentioned again. Nathaniel Pratt and his dog are referred to. They never say their names, but they talk about like something about like stepping in poop on my lawn.
You
Yeah.
can't even use your powers to throw poop on someone.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. So they mentioned that. I'm like, oh,
Someone's
I.
shoes.
So it's nice that they kind of had throwback to that without being so in your face about it. I'm like, I know what you're referring to.
But then they also mentioned too, I was like, I don't know if they just needed a moment, but they mentioned like an earthquake was almost as bad as the earthquake that happened back when Piper was in high school. And I was like, when was the Woogie? I was like, was there any recollection of the Woogie? Like, if I was like, Phoebe was a child when she saw Grams fighting it. So that doesn't make sense. I was like, I thought they were connecting back to something, but then I was like,
Yeah.
they weren't. They just
Maybe it was another
mentioned it.
earthquake. California gets a lot of earthquakes, really. So who knows? It could have been anything.
That's such a specific time. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Raffi presses that Paige would be good at teaching, her calling. And I'm like, is this magic school foreshadowing when she becomes headmistress of magic school? It's like these weird little thoughts that come to my mind because
Yeah. See, that's the thing too. Then I was like, they have all these, callbacks to the shows and foreshadowing and things like that. But then I was like, how did they get the healing wrong? And how did they get all these little details wrong? Because they're doing something.
Right.
Someone watched the show.
Yeah, because you know some things, but you like forget about other things.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I have Piper is annoyed that they have to buy another grandfather clock after the earthquake, which I'm like, I'm pretty sure they always just got it repaired. But then I'm like, some of the ways that clock was destroyed, like it's probably way past repair. So maybe it does make sense you buy a new one. But
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now maybe that's what the cover is. The gears and the
the gears replacing the grandfather clock
will get destroyed again. It'll forever be, recorded on the book covers.
Yes.
The grandfather clock destroyed.
The author said that Piper's SUV was black when it's actually navy blue. I'm being picky here, but it's navy blue, so not quite black. Maybe in the darkness it looks black. I have Leo is pretty adept with a sword. We mentioned that, and then Sheila should find out about the sisters soon because oh my god, as Darryl says, I told her. So it's interesting they had this little talk. We'll talk someday, which was some. I kind of like that. Now we'll get into rhyme time.
Should we try a spell?
Why not? Let's try a spell.
In the wind, I sing this rhyme. Bring death before me, before my time.
You've really got to lay off the rhyming, Brew.
Wonderful. Witty, but wordy.
I did the rhyme. I will do the time. Good night.
So the first spell in this is the one to unbind Tyler's power. When time is ready or need is dire, unbind his power, return his fire. It works for me. I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's not anything special.
No,
I mean, it's just
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
The next one was a little iffy. To vanquish Tempest's servant. This one's going down. Only 3 more to go. And Tempest will frown as we vanquish our foe. but they knew how bad this one is because they pointed it out.
They did point it out.
Was Paige like, what the hell was that?
And she's like, it's not my best work. I know.
Yeah, this is quick, but Tempest will frown. It rhymes, so it works.
Yeah, it sounds so stupid. It's kind of a fun role reversal because this time Phoebe did the spell and Paige is like, what the hell is that? Whereas in Lost and Bound, Paige did the spell and Phoebe's like, what the hell was that?
And in Lost and Bound.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was intentional.
Maybe.
Bring it back.
Yeah. The next one was the one to vanquish Tempest. It was a power of 3 spell. By the water and the air, by the earth and the fire, by the powers that we bear, Tempest's life now expire. It's a little awkward. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it, but something just doesn't compute right to me.
Yeah, I think I don't know. The whole ending was
Tempest's
very
life now
craft.
expire.
It's very the craft.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
when they got in there, they got in the pentagram and
Uh-huh.
hail to the guardians of the watchtowers.
Uh-huh.
They're all calling their sides. But yeah, so the spell is very basic.
Do you want to do our final ritual of the Guardian spell?
For the ritual, the guardians need to stand on one point of the pentagram in the circle of Gaia. Gaia?
The
circle? Yeah, that circle. Firestarter will wield either a sword or a wand. The Windwalker the same, interchangeable. The Water Bearer will wield a chalice, and the Earthshaker will carry coins. The Human Spirit, aka Darryl, simply needs to be there.
Did he even have to say the spell? He might have just stood there like.
Yeah. Well, no, he was saying that it kind of just like flowed through him, and he ended up saying stuff on them. They all kind of came together.
Here's our Guardians of the Watchtower spell. Here you go. Ready?
Exactly. Go to the Guardians of the Guardians of the North, the West, the South, and East. Join together in the spirit of this circle and bring about peace. Calm the winds, hold back the rains, subdue the fire, and let earth rest. On this night of Aeolus, in this circle of Gaia, we implore you to take back your power by using our strength. It's not. For a segment of rhyme time, that didn't do much.
Right. It's not a rhymey spell, but I do think it is very true to what would actually happen. Like people just kind of say what they're looking for. It doesn't always have to be this beautiful poem. So as for a statement of what you want and what you're looking for, I think it works, and I think it's good. And I think it's powerful.
It's more to balance things and think.
Yeah. This is like a prayer. This is more just like a prayer. And respecting the nature, calling the nature, using your power, and I think it's proper, and I think it works. I'm not offended by this at all, and I don't mind it, and I kind of like it. So
I was reading it wrong,
Oh no, you read it really well. You're looking for the rhyme time.
I was looking for the rhyme time. And then there's just a lot of time, no rhyme.
So now we will do the best baddie rankings. Best baddie. I'm just gonna say where Tempest fits into this mix. He's actually second to last on my list. Everybody else has been stronger for the most part with him. So yeah, we do a Grimoire game.
What is this, some kind of game?
Grimoire game.
Some people think this is entertainment.
And it's going to be a quiz to see which element you are. Which hemisphere would you like to explore the most? Western, northern, southern, eastern?
Northern.
All right. What is your favorite season?
Fall.
Fall? Okay. At which part of the day do you feel most like yourself?
Definitely night.
Pick an animal which catches your eye. We have a lion, a buck, a Arctic wolf, and like a sweet little orangey white bird.
I'd take the wolf.
Pick the color you like most. We have green, like a goldish yellow, red, or blue.
I'll take the goldish yellow.
Pick the eye color which is closest to yours. Eyes of a brown shade, eyes of a green shade, eyes of a blue shade.
Definitely brown.
What do you enjoy doing the most? Playing sports or exercising, dancing, drawing, painting, crafting, or singing music?
All of them, except for the sports. I'll probably say singing.
What word describes you best? Cooperative, desirable, open-minded, adventurous.
Open-minded.
Caring, free-spirited, enduring, energetic.
I guess you said maybe free spirit.
Determined, harmonious, strong-minded, responsible.
Strong-minded.
Productive, humorous, compassionate, passionate.
I'll say humorous.
Pick a mythical creature that speaks out to you most. Mermaid, Pegasus, elf, dragon.
Dragon.
Okay, here's our results. Let's see what it is. Calculating. Water!
Oh. I just felt like choosing dragon would give me fire.
It says Water best represents your personality. You have a deep sense of love and community that holds you strong through anything. Your attitude towards everyone is gentle and kind, and as a result, you often find yourself having an optimistic impact on people. You are compassionate towards others and always think responsibly. With an understanding and open mind, you are ready to take on the world with courage in your eyes.
Ooh, so I was right.
Yeah. And I took it and I got the same thing. So
Oh,
the final thing is tips for future white lighters.
I was out being a force of good in the universe.
So what is the moral of the book today, you think?
breathe and take one step at a time. And, I mean, we live by, time is short, but kind of not let that dictate where you're at. And learning how to, you kind of need to be open-minded and aware to be content and find happiness where you are, because that's all you're going to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I can take that. That's true. Because yeah, everyone had their own journey and their own kind of way to cope. And yeah. For my tip, I put, we all have worth. The earth, the people in it, the creatures, the plants, the things we feel, the things we are capable of. Like all of that is valid and all of it is significant and all of it is worth saving. So I think, every path is valid. So it kind of ties into what you said, but yeah, it's important. That's what I got from it. Cool. That's the final end. So where can everyone follow you on the social medias if you want them to follow you on the social medias?
I don't really partake much on the social medias, but if you want to follow me at Marky Marks 21. MARKY MARX 21.
Cool. Yeah, and then you can find this podcast at Words of the Witches on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Words of Witches on Twitter, or email us at wordsofwitchespod@gmail.com. All the things. You can listen to my other podcast with Sean on Hanging with the Hallowells. And yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And yeah, your destiny still awaits.